Dr. Saptarshi Chakraborty is a chartered architect by profession, a smart city specialist with green building engineering concept, planning and Indian Green Building Council accredited professional. Dr. Chakraborty is also a sector trade expert authorized by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. He had actively associated with the significant professional bodies of the industry like the Indian Council of Architecture, the Institute of Indian Interior Designer, the Institute of Urban Designer India, the Indian Green Building Council, the Indian Institute of Architecture, Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India and many more. এবার আমি অনুরোধ করব ডক্টর চক্রবর্তী
Thank you very much. Well, World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development with the theme of Engineering for a Healthy Planet, celebrating the UNESCO Engineering Report. You know, rarely do you come across those days when you talk about something which you are really proud about. And today is probably that day. Good evening, and I'd like to begin by conveying my sincere regards to the Honorable Chairman, the Honorable Working Chairman, the Honorable Convener, the Honorable Secretary, and all other dignified members who are present here, the West Bengal State Center of the Institution of Engineers India, for inviting me to deliver this thematic lecture on this World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development. I hate to start with the bad news, but this is what it is. Let us begin with the end in mind. The end of days, the end of our only home, the end which we are forcing us into. We practically are on a suicide mission. There was research in February last year, just before the pandemic. A study was done which revealed that 1/3 of all the plant animals and all plant species, all animal species that are there on Earth are going to get extinct by year 2070. And that is the bad news. So what are we really handing over to our children? Think about it. You see, I have been practicing and preaching as an architect for the past 2 decades across India and abroad. With my hands-on experience in designing and building numerous projects, I've gained some real-life insight which I keep on sharing. Now, sustainability and sustainable development is what I focus on, and that is what my theme is. The world needs help. Today, we are gathered here not only to celebrate the UNESCO Engineering Report, not only to celebrate our decades of working together in this industry, but also to share our common goals of making the world a better place. Because the Institution of Engineers is the first and the largest multidisciplinary organization, a professional body of engineers serving mankind for close to a century now. And that therefore this is the right place and today is the right time. The theme of this session is uniquely interesting and relevant to a post-pandemic new normal world that we have just started with. Engineering for a Healthy Planet, celebrating the UNESCO Engineering Report. This theme is something which is absolutely close to my heart. I have been working on this particular theme for quite some time now. Now, let me tell you a story. When I was trying to put together this particular presentation, it suddenly ran into my mind that a lot of people, a lot of my students, a lot of professionals who are in touch with me keep on asking me. In fact, you might have been asking yourself in the mirror each day, I mean, as an engineer or as an architect or as a professional, what can I do for a healthy planet? What is my role? How can I make my world future-proof? My job is to help people out there to find answers to this mind-boggling question. I try to answer these questions through my books and publications a lot. You see, architecture or engineering always had an essential role in societal development of human welfare, because it is important to ensure that future generation of engineers, future generation of scientists, architects, and entrepreneurs will be able to design solutions for not only the local but also for the global challenges that we are, like for the Ampha or the COVID that we had. The UNESCO is aimed at promoting world peace and security through international cooperation in education, sciences, and culture. The World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development was proclaimed by UNESCO at its 40th General Conference in 2019. The first celebration of this particular day was on the 4th of March 2020, which was just a few weeks before this worldwide lockdown, the countrywide lockdown that we had. And we had been suffering through this for past 1 year. This day offers us an opportunity to highlight the achievements of our engineers in our modern times and improve public understanding of how engineering and technology are central to this modern life and for sustainable development. The celebration of World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development is also about understanding the importance of engineering as a profession, as a career, and how it can be an opportunity for the future to make the world a better place. In the SDGs, because there is a great deal to be done specifically to achieve the UN Sustainability Development Goals to develop the countries like ours, to ensure that everyone has access to clean water, sanitation, reliable energy, affordable housing, clean and green nature, and other basic human needs. There is also this urgent need to deal with the impacts of climate change, environmental issues, sprawling cities, increasing poverty, joblessness, the challenges of new technologies, the AI which is eating our jobs today, and global pandemics like the COVID-19 that we had. A healthy planet deserves healthy citizens and healthy climate, but our climate is changing. Climate change is the most significant challenge to achieve sustainable development, and it threatens to drag millions of people into grinding poverty. At the same time, we have never had better knowledge and solutions available to us to avoid the climate crisis. We have all the technology. It is time to put together all the technology and get it to the next level. Due to climate change, by 2050, an estimated 10 billion people on Earth will be living. And we are going to face that. We are going to see that by 2050. Increasing heat, drought, and insect outbreaks, all linked to climate change, have increased wildfires, declining water supplies, reduced agricultural yields, health impacts in cities due to heat. We are talking about smart cities, we are talking about urban designing, architecture, and engineering, and this is what we are facing. This is what we are pushing us towards. The health effect of this disruptions include increased respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Not only engineering, it is also into our lives, into our health, into our medical life. Changes in the prevalence of geographical distribution of food and other waterborne illness, other infectious diseases, stress to mental health, and so on. This International Day, with coordinated celebrations across the world, is a great opportunity to elevate the profile of engineers and engineering. It is particularly important today because the world is getting sick and we are the cure. We are the future. Because we conduct research and development and come up with solutions unique and understandable and unthinkable to the future. Because we can quickly learn from not only the mistakes of our past, but also from the wisdom from our past. We have learned from our seniors, the people out there who are experienced. We learn from you and take it to the next level, next world out there. I call this evidence-based designing, or EBD, which I talk about a lot in my book. And this evidence-based designing clubbed with intelligent designing is what we are trying to do for the future. The whole intent is to create an ecosystem where the man-made world can coexist with a sustainable harmony with the nature around us. It has to be that coexisting cycle. Let me share with you my recent insight of research about how we can learn from nature's engineering and create sustainable green architecture with nature, or what we might call as biomimicry. It's not a new term, but this is done new and fresh way. Very interesting, hear me out. Well, what is biomimicry? Bio means life, mimicry means to imitate. So biomimicry is practicing to imitate life or nature, to be precise. It's not about copy pasting, it's about learning from what nature has already done and taking it to the next level. It is about looking at nature to provide inspiration and direction to sustainably solve our most possessing modern day challenges that we have. It is innovation inspired by nature. It is about creating architecture with nature. Well, we are engineers, and as human beings, we are pretty clever. We have created cities, economies, and whole societies, but at the same time, without thinking, we have also created massive sustainability challenges for future generations, for our children, and definitely for ourselves. And that's the reason we are here. If we break down our CO2 emissions worldwide, it is clear that buildings and energy are the two sectors, buildings and energy, where we need to do better in R&D and find better solutions. How can we do that? Biomimicry. Biomimicry is a way to address these problems by creating policies, products, and processes that are adapted to life on Earth. The idea goes like this. Plants, animals, and microbes are amazing. They have spent billions of years in engineering and testing ways to thrive on this particular planet. 3.8 billion years to be precise. There's a lot of research and development which nature has already done and handed it to us to take it to the next forward level. After all this R&D, what did not work does not exist anymore. And what surrounds us has learned to survive. Solutions to challenges large and small are all around us. We just need to look. So let's look at a few of the very basic and very interesting ways in which nature can help us do better. When we talk about sustainability and sustainable development, we have to talk a lot about carbon, carbon dioxide, carbon emissions, and so on. In our modern day science, there is a very negative connotation towards the worldwide CO2 emissions. But you know what? Nature does not see carbon as a problem. Rather, interestingly enough, it sees carbon as a building block because nature has learned how to flip the game. If you remember our high school science, nature uses carbon dioxide as a raw material to build things such as trees, such as leaves, algae, shells, seaweeds, and so on. Also, for example, fantastic natural structures like the coral reefs are made of carbon. Most precisely, the coral's hard exoskeleton that is there is made of calcium carbonate. So, not going into complicated details of it, corals combine carbon dioxide and minerals in the seawater to make it a reef. Right? A few years ago, a researcher took this recipe to turn the carbon dioxide and seawater combining together to make calcium carbonate, which was then used to make concrete. So, this is surely a revolutionary idea. Because you know that in manufacturing 1 ton of concrete in a traditional way, we get about 1 ton of CO2 as an end product in the concrete industry. But 1 ton of coral cement produced with this method sequesters, in this particular method, that you see, sequesters half a ton of carbon dioxide and takes less energy to make it as well. So we can see that the nature generates carbon dioxide, it sequesters carbon dioxide, and it makes into calcium carbonate, which we can use as concrete for making buildings. How come that was never told in our engineering colleges when we were studying? The syllabus needs to be changed in a big way. And right now, I am in that particular process. I am actively working with the Council of Architecture to upgrade a major part of our current undergrad and postgraduate syllabus. You are most welcome if you want to join that movement, definitely, because I believe in practicing what we preach, and I believe that you should be preaching what you have practiced. What we have learned, we should be giving it back to the school, colleges, and universities. And from there on, we can take it and bring it to the next climate change world, in a world where it needs our input, it needs our solutions in a big way. Talking about changing the coral cement into calcium carbonate, into the green concrete, the question is, what do you do with this coral cement? Definitely will make buildings, right? But you know what? Even after construction, buildings tend to produce a lot of carbon dioxide. 25% of total CO2 emissions worldwide are attributed to heat and energy. And residential and commercial buildings that you are building today are responsible for about half of this 25%. It's a lot of amount across the globe. Again, then comes this HVAC system that we have. 60% of buildings' traditional energy requirements of consumptions are allocated to heating and cooling. Definitely need to do better on this. Now, let's look at how does nature do it. As it turns out, termites also need to ventilate and control the temperature inside their mound, the termite mound, the other side that you can see, the extreme right hand side. And then there are buildings which have mimicked the bio idea of that. Termites don't use fossil fuels, right? Inspired these termite mounds, architect Nick Pierce designed Eastgate Center in Zimbabwe like a termite mound. The Eastgate building uses thermal mass to store the heat during the day and releases during the night. The building also has many chimneys and air channels to allow the building to breathe. During the day, the Large central chimney creates closed convection cycles, and during the night, the cool air from outside cools down the core of the building, sending the hot air up out of the building, constantly cooling the core. The large amount of surface area around the building helps dissipate the heat, the energy during the day, while increasing the heat loss during the night. So this is somewhat like the large ears of a jackrabbit or a large African elephant, and so on. They tend to give away heat using those ears. They regulate their body temperature. As a result, these kind of buildings, the previous building that what you are showing, 35% it is using less energy than its peers in the same area. Right? But that building was above the ground, it is above grade, right? When we are talking about below grade, whatever is there, like for instance, there is an anthill. Anthills can achieve similar results underground, in a basement. Their entire settlement is inside a basement, right? When a breeze blows on top of the hill, it draws the air out of the hill and fresh air comes through the channels built on the outside. This is a well-known fluid mechanics phenomenon, definitely you would know. Another way in which HVAC system can waste energy occurs when a part of equipment in the system operate in isolation without communicating with each other. So there are gadgets, there are devices, they do not talk to each other. But today what we have smart technology, right? You see on top of that there is a swarm of bees. Bees coordinate their individual behavior to better serve the collective using the swarm intelligence of bees. A company called Encycle offers a service called Swarm Logic that connects smart appliances together. A way to spread the energy demand across various gadgets, various devices, reducing the peak demand by 25% and unnecessary energy consumption by up to 30%. Now that we know how to heat and cool our buildings, we still need energy for lights and machines, right? Well, probably a school of fish can help. Recently, a Caltech researcher, John DeBoody, noticed that a school of fish can swim together without interfering with one another. How is it important? I'll get to that. Because each fish creates many small vortices behind them as they swim. Using this idea, he created vertical axis wind turbines that can work well together in close proximity, which traditional ones interfere with each other. The wind turbines which he designed actually fed off one another, increasing their efficiency and making the most out of the available area. With optimal positioning with these kind of wind turbines, a vertical axis wind farm could produce 10 times the amount of wind energy generated by common horizontal turbine wind farms for renewable energy generation in urban areas and so on. 26 feet high and wide, this particular wind tree, or this one tree can power a 4-person home or a 15 LED street lights or 1000 square feet of low consumption office space or 16,000 kilometers of an electric car. And it is not far away that electric cars are coming. So what we need to do, there are solutions all around us. Sometimes we just need to change the way we think about things. Sometimes we need to think beyond the ball and think beyond what we have in hand. Well, I am privileged to have worked with numerous sustainable green building projects as a certified accredited professional of the Indian Green Building Council (IGBC), which is a part of the Confederation of Indian Industry (CII). The vision of this particular council to enable a sustainable built environment for all and facilitate India to be one of the global leaders in the sustainable built environment by 2025. So it's pretty soon. Now, talking about green buildings, what is it? A green building by definition is one which uses less water, optimizes energy efficiency, conserves natural resources, generates less waste and provides a healthier, happier space for everyone to enjoy, as compared to conventional building out there. So green building is the way to the future, and green building is what we are supposed to design and know what is out there. These are few of the green buildings that are already there in India. A couple of them I am already a part of, already executed, is there. Talking about green building movement of India, with a modest beginning with only 20,000 square feet built up area in the country in the year 2003. Today, more than 6,287 green buildings projects are coming up with a footprint of about 7.75 billion square feet registered with the Indian Green Building Council already, out of which 2,126 green building projects are certified and fully functional in India. And I am fortunate to be a part of this movement and mission. Well, India as such had been facing a tremendous growth. in infrastructure, construction, development, just until the pandemic. And 1 year into our lives, it has been just omitted. As this sector is expected to grow after the pandemic, in a post-pandemic, new normal world, the kind of way we are stepping into, we have started our conferences, we have started our offices, we have started going out into the world and started in a different way. Preserving the environment becomes important. To enable the construction industry environmentally sensitive, the Indian Green Building Council encourages architects, engineers, builders, developers, owners and consultants to design and construct buildings, thereby enhancing the economic and environmental performance of buildings. The growth has been possible thanks to the participation of all the stakeholders out there. Today, all types of buildings are going in the green way. Government IT parks, offices, residential banks, airports, convention centers, institutions, hospitals, hotels, factories, SEZs, townships, school, metros and so on. This green movement, the council also closely works with several state governments, central government, World Green Building Council, bilateral and multilateral agencies in promoting green building concepts in the country. In the process, I have learned a lot, which I try to share. As you can see that there is an imminent need to introduce green concepts and techniques in this particular sector, which can aid growth in a sustainable manner. The green concepts and techniques in the building sector can help us and help everybody out there in national issues, water efficiency, energy efficiency and reduction in fossil fuels use of commuting, handling of consumer waste and conservation of natural resources. Most importantly, these concepts can enhance occupants' health, productivity and well-being. The IGBC rating system is the way to go. The energy savings in an IGBC rated building could be from 20 to 30% in terms of water savings and 30 to 50% of the intangible. There are the tangible and the intangible benefits. The tangible benefits of green buildings include enhanced air quality, excellent daylighting, health and well-being of the occupants, safety benefits and conservation of resources. Everything is measurable, everything is out there. The Indian Green Building Council rating system addresses the most important national priorities, which include water conservation, handling of waste, energy efficiency, reduced use of fossil fuels, dependence on use of virgin materials and health and well-being of occupants. So health and well-being of occupants is the prime importance. It is not the product that IGBC is selling, it's not the solution that the IGBC is selling. The more important thing is to do for the human beings, to do for the world out there. So these rating systems apply the national standards codes like NBC, ECBC, MOEF, CPBC guidelines and so on. So let me give a quick overview and insight into what IGBC is talking about. There are a couple of 6 different areas in which IGBC focuses, and starting with the water conservation. Most of the Asian countries are water stressed, and in countries like India, the water table has reduced drastically over the last decade, as you know. IGBC Green Building Rating System encourages use of water in a self-sustainable manner through reduce, reuse and recycling technologies. By adopting this rating program, green buildings can save potable water to an extent of 30 to 50%. So it's a huge lot of water. Handling of consumer waste. Handling of waste in buildings is extremely difficult, as most of the waste generated is not segregated at source and has high probability of going to landfills. This continues to be a challenge to the municipalities, which needs to be addressed. The rating system intends to address this by encouraging buildings to segregate the building waste. Energy efficiency. The building sector is a large consumer of electrical energy. Through IGBC green building rating systems, buildings can reduce energy consumption through energy efficient building envelopes, lighting, air conditioning systems, and so on. The energy savings that can be realized by adopting this rating program can be to the tune of 20 to 30%. So that is also adding to our. Coming to reduced use of fossil fuels. As you know, the petrol prices are going up. The way we are going into the future is not very sustainable. Fossil fuel is a slowly depleting resource. The world over is not only in India, not only in our place, it's worldwide. The use of fossil fuel for transportation has been a major source of pollution as well. The rating system encourages the use of alternative fuel for vehicles, for transportation, for example, e-vehicles. Gradually what we are going into are electric vehicles. Reducing the dependency on virgin materials, the green building rating system encourages projects to use recycled materials and reusing the materials and discourages the use of virgin materials. So going from reducing, reusing, recycling and other recovery processes, and finally ultimately, as you can see, the pyramid goes down with a very little into disposal. So disposal is not what we want to do, but still what we want to reuse in the first phases. In fact, IGBC talks about only the reduce, reuse and recycle over and over again until you can go into other recovery process and disposal. So other recovery and disposal are not really the way to go, but in the situation that we have at hand, our urban areas, our cities and everything, we have to do it. But the more we do of reduce, reuse and recycle, and that is the future. Health and well-being of occupants. Well, occupants are the people who matter. It's not our gadgets or devices or our building enclosures or the structures that we build, the architecture that we create. So that is not important. It is important the people who are there. We really do not use the walls and the concrete out there. We use the spaces that we inhabit. Health and well-being of occupants are the most important aspect of IGBC Green Building Rating System. The rating system ensures adequate ventilation, daylighting, and occupant well-being, facilitating which are essential for a building. The rating system also encourages measures to minimize indoor air pollutants. So, let's make a building smart. And how do we make a building smart? Going the green way. Right? So, all buildings that are going the green way, this is what it is. And then there are only the other two categories, the owner-occupied buildings and the tenant-occupied buildings, which are trying to go green the IGBC way. And this is about the rating system, the IGBC new building rating system. As I said, it's a voluntarily and a consensus-based program. The rating system has been developed based on materials and technologies that are presently available out there. And there are like these categories, these 5 categories of certified silver, gold, platinum, and super platinum. And those are the points. So there is no time to go into detail into this. So there is a huge lot of parameters which come into it, and it's a point-based system. It's a very parametric way to approach the good practices, the best practices, the outstanding performance, who are the national excellence, and the global leadership in green buildings. All are out there through intelligent and integrated design approach. Recognition for passive architectural features, then structural design optimizing the steel and cement in it. Then projects are encouraged to adapt for the credit so as to help IGBC in developing baselines for future use. Then we have water use reduction for construction, which is also a developmental credit. Then IGBC has launched a new way to certify green building products. So which I think one we had seen already there, the Fenestra. It is a certified IGBC product. So this is out there. And then there are hand-holding counselors who take us through the process, and then there are site visits, audits, and project reports, and energy generation and energy consumption data, which are again pre-validated and validated to make a green building. Right? So when we are talking about a lot about smart cities in India and abroad, about sustainability, about sustainable development, we need to understand what engineering for a healthy planet would mean. How can we achieve sustainability by intelligent design for a future-proof smart city? As we today celebrate this UNESCO engineering report and the sustainable development, right? The goal of sustainable development is to meet the needs of today without compromising the needs of tomorrow, and that is by definition what sustainability is. So what we should be doing? We should be creating architecture with nature. As architects and engineers of the future, our collective wisdom, everybody's collective wisdom, through so many years of experience that this room already has, that collective wisdom can be clubbed with the wisdom of the next generation, the next level, and it can be taken towards a sustainable future, definitely. So, our task is essential for resilience to climate change and to design affordable housing and other urban infrastructure that will withstand the increasing water-related events, pandemics, floods, cyclones, and bushfires. There are a lot of deterrent to the climate change and everything, so that everything can be taken care of if you go the sustainable way, if you think beyond architecture, if you think beyond mainstream architecture and engineering, what is taught there out there in our syllabuses. So, our intelligent design approach is important. We need to go into a lot of R&D, as I said. We need to make a new normal blueprint. I mean, the chapter 10, the last chapter of this particular book has this new normal blueprint, how you should go about the new normal way, because our R&D and advice is important to develop inclusive technologies and innovations that will benefit people, the planet, and achieve greater profit and prosperity and better quality of life, and leave no one behind, especially to ensure equality in architecture, in engineering, and access to technology for all. Technology for all is important. It is important to reach for the people to reach out there. Therefore, this World Engineering Day for Sustainable Development is our opportunity to discuss these issues and engage the wider community in the contributions of engineers and engineering and the work that needs to be done to achieve the UN 2030 agenda, so that no one is left behind. Well, quickly before we wrap up, there are like 10 simple things which we can do at home and get to the start of going sustainable. Number one, the reduce, use and recycling, cutting down on what you throw away, following the 3 R's. Then volunteering to clean up your community. Then educating what we had learned, educate to the people out there. Conserving water in a big way. This is so important. Choose sustainable material, choose to go sustainable way, choose to go for green buildings. Then definitely a big thing in our society today, shopping wisely. I mean, do not consume or over consume the resources. Shop wisely and also, of course, take a carrier with you while shopping. Use long-lasting light bulbs. There are a lot of light bulbs that we used to use previously. Now we have LED light bulbs. A lot of our clients, most of our clients are going into this LED now. Not only, of course, there is a one-time capex, but in the operational cost is so low and the electricity consumption is so low, it makes sense. Then planting a tree, and then don't dump your all chemicals and everything in the waterways. In recent times in Bangalore, there was a huge waterway crisis where a lot of chemicals were dumped in there. A lot of foam was coming out of the waterways. And then, of course, in Newton, Kolkata, we have bicycles. It is a good approach, where you can ride to work and not drive to work. So, towards the end of it, we are engineers and we have the power. So, let's do what is right. Let's design what is sustainable. Because our lives depend on it. This is not the future that we are trying to hand over to our children. Some of the best minds in this part of the country are right now present here in this particular room. With all your experience, with all your expertise, we are here today. Whosoever we are and from wherever we may be, let's do our part for the Mother Earth. Let's promise today to make the world a better place for our children. With this parting thought, let me thank the forum and hand over the microphone to the next. Thank you very much. Thank you.
ধন্যবাদ ডক্টর সপ্তর্ষি চক্রবর্তী।